Welcome to the Insider's Guide to Custom Homes. I'm Rick Bell, and today we're kicking off a brand new series focused on realtors, specifically the role great realtors play in creating value, not just closing transactions. My guest today is Miguel Serrano, Director of Sales at Landmark Ranch Estates and an agent with Douglas Elliman. Miguel has worked with our company since 2018 and has been a major part of transforming Landmark Ranch Estates from a community with a $5 million price ceiling into one where $15 million plus homes are now the norm. Miguel's background is anything but traditional, and his perspective on value, branding, and patience in the luxury market is something I think realtors, developers, and buyers alike can learn from. Miguel, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Rick.
So, for people who don't know you yet, give us a quick version of your story, where you grew up and how you first got into business.
So I grew up in Puerto Rico, used to visit Miami plenty. It's kind of a second home for us. In Puerto Rico, I started doing construction, management, and then doing homes for private clients.
When you say doing, what was your responsibility?
I was a general contractor in Puerto Rico. I do also have a license here in Florida.
Do they have a license in Puerto Rico, or do you need to be licensed?
No, not as formal as here. It's a registration more than a formal education and testing required. So the performance is kind of different and not always there.
Got it. So you were building homes, but from what I remember, you had a nightclub from Puerto Rico.
Oh, that's
so what did that experience teach you about people, energy, business, and what applies today from what you learned?
It's service and it's a connection with people directly. You have to listen to what the people really want and not necessarily is what they are telling you verbally. You have to read in between the lines in order to serve them better. And it's what I try to do even in the nightclub environment. I adapted my initial concept to something that was what the clients wanted in terms of closing times, the menu, the format of the music.
And you had never done this before?
No, ever. But probably, or more surely, when you don't know and you know that you don't know, is when you really try to do it better and research. So I didn't know anything, and I knew I didn't know anything about the industry. And it's precisely what it got to be, I think, the number one.
Well, from what I know about you, I mean, you don't just figure stuff out. You do your homework, you research, and you kind of learn by really digging in and understanding what works, what doesn't work. You experiment. So, you're a bit gritty, which is good. And that gives you kind of a leg up on people that just kind of expect the business to work all by itself. So when you did the nightclub business, when did you transform more into the residential side? Was it after the club closed and then you got into it? Were you doing it at the same time?
So when I started the business, when it was a bootstrap, as most of them are, I had a small contractor doing the improvements in the site that we had. It was in the financial district in San Juan. And at some point, the contractor defaulted, as many do, and more so in an environment that it doesn't require formal education or testing. And I had to take over. I didn't know much about the improvement, more or less a restaurant environment. So what I did is that I started visiting a major shopping center that was being built in San Juan. I think it was a Topman Mall. Mm-hmm. And I went into the night shift when all of the contractors were working. And I started basically interviewing people, getting to know, hiring some people out of there. And I was able to bring the project successfully to completion. And while I was doing that, keep in mind, it's in the financial district. Most of the clients drove by, and I had a promotion about the future business going on. And this clientele is mostly bankers that have their offices in the financial district, or business related.
So it was a big networking group.
Yes, and they did saw how the place got transformed, and they got to know me, and they were as impressed by the club as for the execution of the work. So they started asking me in a more personal connection if I could help them in some projects, failed projects mostly. So it's called workouts.
Mm-hmm.
And I became sort of a owner's rep sent by the investors.
Yeah, we've done workouts before, and it's kind of a unique position because banks a lot of times get properties back. They're troubled. There's issues with the properties that need to be fixed up so they can resell them. So I guess that was kind of your role, kind of putting them back into condition. Although you knew nothing about construction other than working in your nightclub.
Exactly. And once they started referring me to clients, I did sell the business at some point, probably 18 months, 24 months into it, because most of these businesses have a short life cycle, and more so if you're in a small island. So I figured out if the cycle is 5 years, 6 years, I should sell at the peak. So I did recognize that, and also was getting referrals by this network.
So you transformed from a nightclub entrepreneur to a builder, a contractor.
Yep, basically.
So you did this for how many years in Puerto Rico?
Wow, from 95 probably to 2014.
Wow, quite a while. So were you building custom homes from scratch, or were you still just doing renovations?
It makes a lot of tenant improvements, commercial, vanilla box stores, retailers, a shopping center, a lot of drywall, and 24-hour shifts, renovations of homes, and the custom home here and there. It's not a big business as it is down here. It's just,
yeah, especially today. I mean, it's a whole different world, even for us over here, than it was back in the 90s. So what ultimately brought you to the U.S., and how did you find your way into construction and becoming an owner's rep? What was kind of your journey?
By 2012, it was already dwindling, the economy and business in the island. So I was already consulting and helping people in Miami, which it's kind of a second home to people from Puerto Rico. And in one of those trips, I did meet a group of investors, and they had a lot of projects. Like 8 charter schools, 2 custom homes in Golden Beach, condo, and they were desperately looking for help. More than a project manager or superintendent, something more into the management of such a package.
So what was your responsibility for them?
I was a senior project manager for them. I was in charge of identifying subcontractors.
Were you a direct employee, or were you a consultant?
I was a consultant with them, but at the end, it's a 24-hour job, as you know. So
Sure.
It's a full-time job on that. But everything from suppliers, procuring, bidding, dealing with the architects, because it was more like a design build. Most of the projects, the homes were spec homes. So I had knowledge already in terms of the technical part. As you know, I research and read a lot.
Now, had you already decided you were living in the States at that point?
No, actually the mission required, and it was offered on the spot, and you start tomorrow. It did require moving here. So I
packed up your bags?
Basically, I took on the challenge and brought them here. And that first 14 months, maybe we completed like $225 million in projects.
That's a big transition between all that work and then moving the family, and I'm sure that totally upended your life, but probably for good. You learned a little bit more about how the construction works in the States. I'm not sure if it's much different. Is there a difference between the way you build over in Puerto Rico and the way you build here? I
would say night and day. Basically, this is super systematic. In the States, you do even have bachelor degrees, masters in project management, development management. So it's a system. It's a pleasure for me, working here, no matter how difficult the project or the workout is, because things work, and there's enough market of resources to be able to find the correct ones. It does take time, as you know, as a custom home builder. That's part of the art, sifting through the resources.
So how did that role as an owner's rep teach you about how owners really think?
I mean, it allowed me to be able to have true open conversations and understand. Sometimes, I mean, everybody's different. Sometimes some people want the price, value. Some people need the speed. Some people want quality. Some would trade the quality either for cost or for speed. So it's a matter of really understanding, much like selling real estate. It's not much selling if you're doing it good. It's more than an advisory role at these levels.
Right,
I
you
mean,
have to build trust and confidence.
exactly. It's getting to know exactly what your client needs and be able to deliver that, even if they don't even know what they need because they are not familiarized with the other side. So in order to sometimes to get them what they need, you also have to convince the client or this your side of what it would be best for them. So that ideally I can present all of the alternatives and guide them so that they make the decision. Again, you don't push anything.
So that role kind of evolved from when you were doing owner's rep, you kind of transitioned into real estate. We met back in 2017, I think, for the first time. I think one of your friends was doing a video over here at Landmark, and we got to know each other a bit. And then it seems like that was kind of the pivotal point where you transferred from a construction side to the real estate side. So, how did that construction side shape the way you now approach real estate and sales?
It's a total game changer if you actually have the knowledge on how the properties that you sell, the product gets built and done. More so in the luxury and ultra luxury environment and the custom home. I would say it's necessary, and surely that's why you gave me the opportunity, because when I talk to a client and I advise them, I do have the credibility, technical.
Well, that's kind of what impressed me. I mean, you knew a lot about the technical side of it, and you have that salesy edge, which is good. I mean, it's not pejorative. It's something that is something that you look for in sales agents. People that really understand, have the empathy, have the knowledge, and that kind of gives you an edge when you understand construction and you're talking to an owner about building. I think you can relate to them from a more of a builder side than just a realtor trying to sell property. So looking back, do you think that construction background gave you an edge when you're working with the buyers then? I mean, does that kind of...
100%. And I try to remind them or tell them what my background is so that they either allow me the trust or have the confidence on my advice. And if I'm not convinced that what the direction they're taking, I might probably not even continue with them, because, I mean, the outcome is either my success or my failure. And sometimes I have to let them go. And if you want to hear that advice and you're convinced on something that it's not like it is, so I am not the person then to help you, because I'm in the business to be successful in the missions, and then the income of the business comes.
Right.
I'm not.
You're providing a service, after all, that has to have value.
Exactly. In real estate transactions, and it's funny because the title, the escrow companies, they were closing and they're still asking about my papers for compensation and whatever. And I don't even send a form or nothing until the mission is accomplished.
And you do see a lot of realtors, and their number one thing is getting paid. And you're not that guy. Again, it's more about, did you take care of the client? Are they happy? And then the reward comes.
Yeah, I keep that focus. If you get distracted, and in these higher value properties, you could really get distracted and really get out of the mission.
For the interest of the actual client.
Exactly. I mean, it's a big responsibility. I mean, when you direct people in this kind of homes, you're not selling brick and mortar. You're selling a lifestyle change that probably will define the rest of the years for these people and their family. So it's a very tricky business when you really understand what you're doing and the importance of these purchases.
So what made you, kind of, let's backtrack a little bit, transition from the construction side of real estate to the selling real estate? What made it kind of the natural next steps for you to make that transition?
Well, I mean, it's a thought that was created actually by Rick Bell, you, in one of the meetings. If you remember, I came in as a consultant for the development, marketing, and approach for the community, and we did address a lot of the format to be able to accomplish the mission for the
Yeah,
clients.
we totally changed kind of the methodology rather than just waiting for a client to come and then, kind of explaining to them. We started with some basic models and just to give them an idea what you could have, what the house would look like, how much it would cost, what the specifications would be on a particular house. And I think we had maybe 4 or 5 different models we had developed.
Then it helps break the ice. I mean, it's a model much like other companies use. And we weren't certain, because I recall, if it would apply, but at the end, it's the same kind of buyer. I mean, it's people. And sometimes you need to simplify or present a menu.
It's complicated, it is. I mean, when you buy a lot, a piece of property, you don't really know what you're getting into. I bought a property, now I'm going to hire an architect. What are the next steps? I mean, we know that now, we're very, very good at it, but I think of giving them a little bit of a track to run on, an example of what something would look like that you can afford for X price, it kind of sets the base. And invariably, they change from that base to a more custom version or something totally different than what you showed them.
But the important thing is that they engage, they did verify they had interest, and then we make it easy to continue through the next steps.
So when you joined Landmark, you also joined Douglas Elliman. So what prompted that move rather than just go out and get your real estate license, hang it with?
I did have my license at that point, more for the knowledge. It was when you actually mention, okay, our new approach makes sense, but then I probably need a special kind of agent or representative.
Douglas Elliman, from what I remember at the time, was new in South Florida. Relatively new. What did they bring to the table?
I mean, for your mission, the Landmark Ranch Estates mission, I had to find a brokerage that represents that same level of values and commitments and expertise. Douglas Elliman is widely known as a luxury brokerage.
Yeah, they're one of the national 3 top real estate firms in the country.
Totally. And I felt that it was necessary to project that kind of expertise through the brokerage and also bring in a team such as they have. Douglas Elliman, different than other local or regional brokerage, they own every office nationally.
So these aren't franchises?
No, it's not franchises. So it's a true network and teamwork. And I mean, we're a team. If I travel to Aspen and I go into the Aspen office, it's my office. And I have admin assistants there. And these are my colleagues. Same thing in Manhattan, East Hampton. So I like.
And we have a lot of the similar clients. I mean, we have clients that own homes in the Hamptons. We have clients that own homes out in Aspen. And that network, I think, pays dividends in both directions. Whether they own Landmark first, they want to go somewhere else. So I think this kind of very good strategic move.
No, 100%. And when I'm presenting myself or approaching other brokerages, and you mentioned, you are with one of the top brokerage out there, it opens door and it answers a lot of the questions. Douglas Elliman and this high-end brokerage, they don't take any broker or agent that comes in. I mean, it's a betting process.
How did you convince them? Again, you're a newbie, new in the real estate world, but of course you're not in the construction side, but in the realty side. How did you convince them to accept you into their fold?
I did know several agents in the area, reputable, and they recognized that I really needed something like Elliman. And I got an introduction to Jay Parker, Elliman's Florida CEO. And we discussed my background. Actually, I came in specifically addressing the need for your development. And they were convinced it was the right decision. And I'm glad that they...
So what advice did they give you? So basically, early on, What did you see in Landmark Ranch Estates that made you believe that the ceiling can go higher from that $5 million mark where we were to kind of where it is today? What did they bring to the table that they saw that would allow that transition to happen and bump up from that 5 to 15 plus 30, 40 million?
Getting
plus?
to know you, and that's also something important when selecting a custom home builder or a developer, is getting to know the person and the team. I did see the quality, the commitment, the performance here. I was able to convey that also to the brokerage. I did research about the capabilities of Douglas Elliman and the teamwork, national teamwork that they had. And for me, it was a necessity. I mean, I went to them to be able to accomplish a high-end mission like yours. And the proof of that it was the right decision. Exactly. Look where we are.
I don't know if it was beginner's luck or what, but I mean, you joined us in the beginning of 2018, and within the first 3 weeks, first sale.
Yeah.
And for a record price.
Indeed. And again, there's no beginner's luck. They're selecting the right team and making people choices. And I think we did the right ones. And I listened to the client and to the buyer. It may have seemed easy or a luck to get that sales so quick.
Well, it's a house that had been sitting for close to a year. And it was a beautiful home. The Azori model was absolutely gorgeous. But it was a price point that wasn't familiar with Landmark at the time. In fact, wasn't familiar with anything on the west side of Broward County at the time. That house kind of shattered all records for price point in Broward County, west of the Intercoastal. And it continues to transform. I mean, Southwest Ranches today has become a mecca. I think you were the ones that you coined the term, this is the Hamptons of the South?
Yeah, it's the South Florida Hamptons. And it is. It's where people come to be relatively close to the business hubs that Miami represents, Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and yet they are in a ranch. Farm, acreage, privacy.
When I came to the ranches, I think the most expensive house at the time, and we probably set the record, I think we built one for about $3.8 million. And that was a big number. That was a huge number. And now we look back and, you're seeing numbers 10 times that, 15 times that amount, 15, 20 years later. And it's just amazing, the transformation. So that first sale, reset the expectations. What do you think actually caused Landmark to start seeing, the community differently at that point?
I think that sale also was significant in the sense that it was a known buyer, a widely known person, and it validates the concept of Landmark and the ranches. It just happens that Landmark is the #1 community, actually the only gated formal community in the ranches that sets it apart. But nonetheless, at that time, people were still not understanding what the suburbs or the ranch lands really were, or the possibilities.
When we went up, all boats seemed to rise in the ranches. I mean, homes, again, outside Landmark, when we were selling for $5 million, we're selling for 3 or 4. When we started selling for 7, 8 million plus, they started going up. And today, like I said, you can see homes, even inside Landmark, of course, 15 to 40 million plus. You're seeing homes in other areas of Southwest Ranches, 20 million, 30 million, 50 million. There's some massive estates out here. There's one that's on 32 acres, 3 homes, 120,000 square feet of property, probably $130 million worth of construction, which to me is mind-blowing, but it continues to happen. We continue to get new people out here, and I won't name names, but there are plenty of big names that actually have homes in this area.
And I think it's just getting started. These homes is what really is calling the attention. But the difficult part is that these people that recognize the attractiveness of the area and the value, they also build custom homes because whatever they're looking for at that level is not available. And most of these new custom-built homes, they will not reach the resale market until probably a decade from now or more. So we are still, I think, not even the tipping point.
Yeah, well, over the years, we've climbed steadily to where the average sale price is now north of $15 million. So what do you think mattered most in that evolution? What other than, one or two sales, but it's been consistent. What do you think kind of sparked that mindset where 15 million should be the norm?
I think that the more the people see other people doing it, and many famous people have come to the ranches already looking for, peace, tranquility, and safety, privacy. People follow suit. They feel more comfortable. Still, they could not be ready for a custom home because they don't know the process. Figure that probably all of the sales in Landmark last 6 or 5, it's incredible because none of these buyers came to the ranches or even fathomed the idea of building their custom home.
Well, that's kind of my next question. So how much of the growth was actually market driven? How much was like intentional branding and positioning?
It's branding. I don't think it's the marketing. There's a need. I mean, actually, my job, and as I see it, is be able to advise them, explain the advantages of what they could get in a resale and what they gain in the custom home option. Many could be driven away because it takes time, but you get a lot too, because you're not settling for a home when you do it. You see, you're getting exactly what you needed. You're putting the money exactly where it's more important to you within the project.
So, right, so you're creating that value in the mindset of the buyer, and a lot of it, again, we see those numbers on the east side, on the Intercoastal in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Palm Beach County. Now you're seeing people going, well, on the east side, sea level rise, crowded areas, traffic, security are migrating to the west side.
Yeah, I mean, people evolve too as they gain experience, and that's also valid in the home acquisition process as you age and you evolve in life. So figure this. Most of the homes that you see being sold in the intracoastal, 30 million, 40 million, they are spec homes. They are not custom homes. Yet people...
Which is amazing to me. Someone that would actually go out there and buy a property for $10, $12 million, put another 15, 20 million into construction and pray someone's going to give them 35, 40 million dollars. That's a big ask, and it's a big leap of faith with a lot of money in the line.
And yet people settle because when they approach these spec homes, which are great, but it's not a custom home for them. There's boxes that check, but there's also things that are missing, but yet there's no other options because most people are not familiarized with that other option of building custom, which is not that difficult.
Well, that was, our second house here that after that big sale, we said, let's put a spec out there, which we rarely do. And we were kind of trying to seed the neighborhood. Let's just try it. And it turned out to be an amazing home. And I think it ended up going for north of $15, $18 million at the end of the day, by the time it was done. Again, we're going from $7, $8, $9 million to, another 30% increase in a period of a year and a half, which is pretty remarkable. And that reset that bar again. Now you're talking, homes that are on consistently 15 million, 18, $20 million.
Yeah, but most of these people, they were looking too in the intracoastal. But when they come here and that they see that they get double the home for the same price.
Level, your ultra luxury buyers, they think differently. What surprised you most about the buyers, how they shop in this price range? What characteristic, do you see in buyers it's consistent that motivate them to go and spend those kind of dollars in that ultra high luxury price point?
Well, let's assume that they already have been through a couple of homes that they had to settle. By the time that they are at this level, most of them are not only looking for a home, they are also looking for a reward moment, enjoying the fruits of their hard work too.
It's a bit of a testament to their success.
Totally. And they know what they want. So all of them are very specific, and they do know what they want when they come here. And once they understand the process, and of course, the reputation that Landmark brings to the process in the community, they get more in tune and they open up to the possibilities. And as you continue explaining and they see that their dream can come true, again, it's not selling, it's visualizing, and they simply continue through
And like I said, I think you mentioned earlier, a lot of our owners that come here to ask us to build a custom home, they didn't come here intentionally for that. They were looking for something pre-built, or maybe just getting ideas. And over time, they realized that they can actually have something more specific to their needs. And again, it's not just a testament to how successful they are. It's something that they're going to be their forever homes. And when the houses are done and they move into them, you see real joy in these people. I mean, to live in a house of that caliber, built the way you want it, I mean, to me, it's rewarding for us.
And they understand at some point that it's at cost. In this approach, we are not speccing, gauging, it's open book, cost plus process.
Right, so you're getting what you pay for.
Exactly, the client controls everything. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, because you have expensive tastes, or it's what you want to do. I mean, sure. It's your dream home, but it's transparent. And sometimes clients struggle because they must be hiding something, or there has to be something that I'm not looking at. No, you're seeing everything and you can control everything.
And they get it. I think after they're into the build, maybe 2, 3, 4 months, they just totally on board. They totally understand it's a transparent process. We're looking out for their interest. You're looking out for their interest. It's a team effort to make sure they get what they want at the end of the day. And for the most part, for the vast majority of it, they do get what they want. And we've seen it time after time on these homes. So now we're down to our final few lots here at Landmark, sadly. There were 44 originally. We're down to 2, 3, maybe 2. We'll find out at the end of the week. But it's a little bit melancholy. I mean, you go, wow, I really enjoyed the ride. We've been here for a very long time, but it's also very rewarding.
Yeah. I remember you were very young when I met you too.
And I had a lot more hair.
No, but it's satisfying. A couple of weeks ago, I was showing the community and I met one of the new residents. They were receiving actually the home that day, and they allowed these prospective buyers to see their home. And we were talking, and they asked specifically about Landmark's performance in the project. And I mean, there was nothing that they could say other than praise. I mean, the process was perfect, everything to the cent. I mean, again, we're not selling, we're demonstrating, and we're referring to.
And we have people that come in here, hey, I'm going to offer you this, and we're going to make you a deal. There's no deal because you've already got the deal. It's very transparent. Here's the number for the property. Here's what we think it's going to cost to build. It's going to be whatever you want it to be. Where do you want your budget? And let's work around that.
Exactly. But some people, I mean, don't even trust what they see because it's too good to be true. It's cost plus. Yes, you have to put time, but it's an enjoyable process. You're creating your vision, you see, and a home where your family is going to spend, the next decade or more, where your sons are going to come after college, your grandkids, all of the holiday events. I mean, it's a lifestyle. So it's important for me to advise them correctly. And you, more than anyone else, know it's important to deliver.
Of course. At the end of the day, they have to be happy. We really want them satisfied.
And they are.
To refer us to their friends. And it feels good. It's part of our reputation. It's part of our legacy. And you're a big part of that. So, a lot of people, let's just kind of talk a little bit about realtors in general. A lot of people think realtors just show properties and negotiate price. How do you define your role on a project like this?
It's an advisory role. And it can never be a sale, or use that term, because you don't sell this. You explain and you advise. People make their own minds. This is not a need-driven transaction. This is, vision, desire, reward. This is another kind of approach. And I try to serve them in the process and keep that mindset.
It's not hard to sell.
And I have driven, and you too, people out of here because we know it's not for them, truly. And it would not have been successful even having a perfect home delivery if they were not going to be happy. at the end, or it wasn't the correct decision. Maybe it was too much at the moment. They could do it, but they weren't comfortable. So we have to be careful. I mean, again, it's about them being satisfied, and that's what brings the next prospect in to get to know about us, not to sell them.
Right. Customer satisfaction is everything.
Exactly. So I'm glad I do this at this level and with people like you. Probably smaller price homes, it's more transactional. You have the comps, you have similar homes in the area.
Right, that's general real estate.
And it's need-based, perfect. I mean, I love it, but this is more difficult. And in order to make it easier, since I'm in some sorts a representative too, and many of these clients that I represent them directly as the buyer and you as the builder, I need to provide correct information and advice in a construction project. And so the technical part works. I draw, I do renderings. I can respond quickly because it's also what they want.
Yeah, and that's a skill you don't see many realtors have. I mean, I've seen you done this before. You did it on the Biscayne model. You came up with some really great renderings. When the initial buyer came along, it's, hey, I think I might want a fire pit. I think I might want this. And you came up with some drawings, I think, over the weekend.
Actually, that first sale that I had in the community, I think first qualified buyer in, he was almost gone because the wife, I recall, loved everything. He wanted the water, to see water. He was looking at the intracoastal. Right. Yeah.
The second lot, we can dig a lake.
Exactly. So I listened and I get it. And I suggested a solution quickly because he kind of liked it. And whatever the wife likes, you have to like it too. I mean,
to be fair, it was a beautiful home.
So I suggested, why don't we get the adjoining lot? We can build a lake and you will have a lake view. Here, it was 2.5 acres. We can do the tennis court and the gym building.
Yeah, and you did the whole site plan.
And I remember overnight, I got the renderings and everything to show it. And
then he was sold.
Basically, so that's the mission. He could have walked out of here and probably settled in another home. But still, even if it was a spec home, we can customize and we can react and fine tune for the buyer. So people, they don't need a full one-off super custom home. You can provide solutions and then fine-tune them to them, and that's fine. Keep in mind...
It reminds me of the Biscayne model. It's one of our most successful homes, maybe a little too successful. So we're having to figure out how to revise it, change it, make it their own. And I think we did this 2 or 3 times here at Landmark. You can't recognize it when the homes are done and they don't look the same, but the challenge was to do just that, provide that feel, but make it more unique to them and more tailored to their needs.
As fast as possible. Keep in mind, these kind of buyers will go to a spec home on the east.
Yeah, well, time is one of the most valuable assets of somebody that's
I like this, I like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, but here's the check. I need to move in.
So when Landmark is done, and we're almost there, and you think of new developments, how early should a realtor be involved in the development to add value?
I think that even from site selection, any developer would need to have the advice of a realtor, broker, agent, advisor, because the product, because it's still product when you look technical, it gets defined first by the location, format, subdivision style. And if you define and design a project like you wish it to be or like you think it should be, you could be missing the ball 100%. And the only people on the other end listening to the buyers and understanding.
So it's super important for a developer to be listening to the sales partner and understand, because you have a different type of understanding of the needs of the buyer. So when you're going to do the development, I think having that sounding board from the sales side, a lot of developers may not do that. And I think it's probably a big mistake. And sometimes, they just go on their own and then they miss the mark. So
Correct.
I think having that advisory role for a seasoned sales partner is critical when you're looking for a new piece of dirt. Because again, these are big investments. They're multi-year, and the end result is going to be dependent on how well you understand that market.
Yeah, they have to have a salesperson or a marketing agent sitting in their board. It will not ensure, but it will remove a lot of risk and uncertainty. Because again, the developer could have a lot of experience, but maybe the agents have some insight on some trends, changes that are occurring or that they see that they're happening. So 100%. I would advise. I mean, it's what I've been doing too, because most of my
Sure, and we're on the
pipeline
hunt right now. We're doing the same thing in real time. Looking at other developments, other opportunities, and we don't want to miss the mark. So we value your role, and I just think of other developers. Sometimes they're more interested in how cheap they can get the dirt, or how quickly they can move product rather than the actual product itself. Because if it's a good product, it's going to move by itself. I mean, if you do your job right. You build a quality house within the market pricing, give those features that the market wants. I think it's understanding that is critical and part of the role of that sales side.
Yeah, from the get-go, because development is a super slow cycle, and the decisions, once you make them, you have to really continue, and there's no way to backtrack on them.
Yeah. So luxury markets are emotional and cyclical. How do you help buyers look past the short-term noise?
I mean, it's quite easy. Real estate, and more in these markets that we're so lucky to be in right now, the track record, it's outstanding. I mean, it's still real estate, and it appreciates no matter what. Some people, and it's an advice that I do give a lot. It depends on how many years you would plan to be in the property and what's your mission.
Yeah, and if you looked at real estate, take it in 10-year increments or 15-year increments, it goes up. We see dips, and dips are sometimes great buying opportunities. I remember back in 2009, 2010, we were talking to some buyers that were, frightened of what was happening. The world was coming to an end, blah, blah, blah. And I'm saying, no, guys, the prices are cheap now. You're able to buy work for 20, 30% less than you could before. And when things do come back, and they do come back and quicker than you might think, you're taking advantage of that. So trying to convince them and get them to understand the advantage of a down market is beneficial for the owner. You're doing them a favor.
100%, and even on the price. This area here, Weston, because of the schools in there, it might sound ridiculous to pay 10% more of the listing price on a house. And it's exactly what I did to be able to move after losing 2 homes. And sometimes you would not sleep. Oh, I overpaid, whatever. You know what? I was going to be here.
Yeah, you overpaid for today. But fast forward 5 years, wow, I wish I could buy 3 or 4 more at that price.
Exactly, because time is an equalizer. It depends on your mission.
I remember Toll Brothers was building in a community not far from here, next community over, Rolling Oaks. And they bought the lots from a developer or the bank, the original developer didn't make it, and they got a deal. And they were selling properties back then, 4,000 square feet for $1.1 million. And I'm saying, the land is pretty close to that. I should buy one of those, maybe 2 of those. And 2020 hindsight, I really should have listened to myself, because those homes today are $3 million, just a few years later. Because again, it's understanding long-term value and getting past that noise and understanding, the risk versus the reward of hanging in there in the real estate market.
100%. And again, it could be the tendency of the people and in the mindset that you have to...
They get emotional to the headlines, and there's a lot of noise out there, whether it's through social media, on TV, or wherever you get your media source. Noise can drown out long-term thinking. And we see it time after time. I mean, and then you try to go back and say, geez, I wish I'd listened to myself rather than to all that.
Yeah, and it happens a lot in the residential market. Commercial market, they do more research and statistical calculations, and they miss less opportunities because of that. because they know the markets and the numbers. And you might be thinking, oh, he overpaid, or when he's paying asking, he's losing money, he's risking. No, because in 10 years is when you look back and say, oh, thank you, because you advised me on paying whatever these people were asking for.
Sure. And if you can take that horizon, you're always going to be right, because 10 years from today, when you think everything's at the peak, it's not. I mean, there can be some dips, but in 10-year increments.
Exactly. If you're going to buy and move in 2 years, then it's another mindset. But most people in these markets, they like the area, they like the schools. I mean, you're going to be 5 years or more. You have to think a little bit differently and then analyze the track record, because it's about grabbing the opportunity when it's a seller's market.
Yeah, I remember when I built a house on Thoroughbred Lane and didn't get to move into it. Someone bought it out from under me because they gave me a lot of money for it. Let's be fair. So, it was a finished house. They didn't want to wait for another spec that we were building. Whatever the number was, they were paying for it. So I sold the house, and I ended up buying a resale. And at the time, it was $600,000 for an older house. And I'm like, $600,000? That's a lot of money for this. And it's so funny, it's on 3 acres. The dirt today, forget the house, the dirt today alone is worth $3 million. So again, you take that timeline, now it's 20 plus years, just over 20 years, but to go from $600,000 to over $3 million, that's a nice little investment. And I think real estate over time in good areas consistently show that type of return.
Yeah, 100%. We have to do our homework and analyze, but we're in a market that is very different than the national average.
Well, South Florida particularly, there's a lot of people that like to be down there. We have the weather. We don't have any tax on our income, where if you're in New York or Boston or some of the other states, you're getting a state income tax, and as well as federal. Down here, you don't have that. So that's a big motivator for a lot of people coming down this way. I think our economy is a very much a tourist economy, and a lot of the revenue generated by the state is through tourism. And that allows us to keep our tax base low and create that extra value.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a beautiful place to live on top of that.
Yeah, but I was surprised. I didn't really understand the concept of the tax savings until a buyer that was prospecting in a home, and he just wanted to go on and buy the home, gung-ho, put the offer and let's do it. And I kind of was advising to try to negotiate a little bit. And he explained that just by moving to Florida, we think...
Yeah, we have clients coming from Seattle, and they're like, you just don't understand what other states have to deal with.
Yeah, within 2 years, the home is free if you calculate the tax savings on their move. So yeah, everybody's different. That's why we need to listen and advise for each client. And I listened, and they wanted the home. We moved on, and I understood the mission completely. So it depends.
So as Landmark looks beyond Landmark Financial Estate, this community, what excites you most about where the brand can go next?
A brand like Landmark, can go anywhere that you want, because it does has the quality, the performance, and the track record. I think that as more of these sophisticated buyers are moving from other states, and they do find value in doing so, they're looking to get homes that most probably are not available in the market. So custom homes, I think they're gonna be even more relevant than in the past 5 years. You can just look at all of the big names moving. Everybody's in a custom home or doing a home.
Yeah, I saw an article just today. I think Mark Zuckerberg is moving down here to one of the islands in Miami.
Yeah, so I think that the natural markets will be areas like Las Olas by proximity, but by the level of homes that we deliver to clients. The Palm Beach area, Manalapan,
it's going to continue to go. And a lot of it is north, but there's south. There's also, teardowns. It's just a continual cycle in a lot of the areas that we build. So I'm excited about it because, I think Landmark could do very, very well here in Broward, of course, but we could do very well in Palm Beach County. We could do well in Miami. Just those 3 areas alone will bring continued success to what we do, and kind of the way that we think about building gives us just a little bit of a leg up. We create a little bit more value, or maybe a lot more value to a client because of the way we treat them, the way our internal systems work, and the transparency that we deliver and the quality of homes. And I think over time that's going to continue to shape the way Landmark grows over the next few years. What do you think creates the most value in the next 5 to 10 years, regardless of market conditions? What's going to be the big driver of value
in our area?
In custom homes in general? Why will, a house that today is $15 million be $30 million 5, 10 years from now? What's going to continue to shape that value?
The scarcity of land first. Once you grab a site, redeveloping would be more costly, but the scarcity of estate legacy level homes, custom homes, quality, it's what will create a driver for resales of these homes and then open up the market to build the new ones.
And I think they get more complex, they get larger, the features get more elegant, and the buyer profile, particularly again with people coming to this area, seem to have deeper pockets, and they want what they want as long as they feel they're getting the value to go with that. So yeah, I agree. I think I wouldn't say the sky's the limit, but the limit is much higher than it is today.
Yeah, you cannot say the sky, but just look at Palm Beach area. Who would have thought that you could do a spec renovation, acquire it at $80 million, and then sell it at $150 million? And it's insane, but there's a need, constant need, and people are still moving. This market it's a magnet for people to move permanently, and second homes too. It's a global destination. Probably I see it as Southeast Florida and Dubai right now are about the hottest markets out there.
So from what you've learned over the past, since 2018, we're 8 years into our journey together. If a realtor came along and he was going to step into a similar project today that you did with Landmark Ranch Estates when you came here, what advice would you give them?
Remove from your mind the word selling and focus on advising and understanding the buyer. It's what we should be doing.
It's a mindset.
You have to refrain. It's a struggle. You are not selling. These people, you don't sell and push nothing. They know what they want. They might not know that the way to get it is by initiating a custom home project because they have never done it. And it seems like a daunting proposition.
So that's a bit of a task to get them to change that mindset. You really have to understand the needs of the buyer and explain to them the advantages of being it might take a little longer, but you're going to get what you want.
And explain the process. It's not as difficult as it might seem if you are properly guided. That's key. The success stories, they don't resonate because people don't talk about those. It's the disasters. And
you hear a lot about it.
The market is plenty. Whenever you see land for sale with plans, there goes an entrepreneurial pseudo developer owner trying to get a cheap deal and do his custom home project on his own. It's difficult. Site selection, contractor, subcontractor, the
and you
cost.
See a lot of these spec builders come out of nowhere. They say they're developers. Basically, they're people that are good salesmen. They are able to raise financing, and then they hire an architect. They hire a general contractor because they're not general contractors, and they hold themselves out as developer builders, maybe never having built a custom home in their life. And the buyers don't know this when they come in. So the quality is not there. The consistency, the schedule, the value at the end of the day, whether it be for the buyer or even for the investor. We see it time after time. A lot of them fail, and it annoys me quite a bit because, we're very transparent, we're very fair, we're very honest. We have a long-term outlook on what we do. And when you see someone coming in that has never done it before, and just because they're a good salesman and a good fundraiser, they hold themselves out as developers. So to understand the difference between a true developer builder and someone who's pretending, I think, that's something that the market really has to understand. And I think a good realtor can kind of help sift that out.
Yeah, totally. Again, listening to the client's need. If he needs speed and whatever, and that's the urgency, then I work with whatever low quality or properties that might solve this need for speed and moving, but it's difficult to be able to get all of them checked out, all of the boxes in the project. And again, people don't understand the custom home process. They get scared, but it's as easy as sitting with the right team from the get-go.
That's the key. It has to be the right team.
Exactly. But you have to also then listen and understand. I try to explain quickly and unravel in their minds the preconception that they might have on that, and then present the team. And once I do that, it's when they open up and they understand it's also about the people. I probably don't know if I would be as successful with other teams, but in this team,
it works.
It works because, I mean, your team delivers and it's easy. I'm here, to assist, not to push, nothing.
So looking back over the past, several years, what part of this journey are you most proud of?
Oh, every time I go by a delivered home, I see the families. I remember each one of them when they came for the first time, and their faces when you tell them that they have to wait 2 years for a home, and they trusted the process, they trusted us, and then you see them having a birthday party, enjoying the family, getting invited to join them. I mean, it's the reward. It's a big responsibility because, again, for anybody, regardless the level, this is the most important purchase that they could make in their lives.
So what lessons from this experience will you carry into everything you do next?
It's always remember that you don't know. Know that you don't know, and listen, research.
You're always learning.
Exactly. And you cannot do it alone. So it's teamwork. So don't fight on that one. That could get you successful in anything you do. Being humble, accepting that you don't know, is the best thing that can happen.
Well, you're certainly a humble guy. You come off genuine, and I think that that reflects on how you present yourself to the buyers and how these deals actually end up coming together, because they do end up having that trust and that faith in you, and it's rewarding to them that they made good decisions based on your advice. So again, Miguel, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you sharing your story about how the value was built and driven at Landmark Ranch Estates. And it's just wonderful to have you for listeners at The Insider's Guide to Custom Homes. Thanks again for coming out.
Thank you for having me, and I hope this brings out knowledge to people and unravels too, and get them curious in learning more about this process.
And there's a lot to learn. For listeners, this episode kicks off our Realtor series, where we'll be talking with professionals who operate at a higher level and play a meaningful role in shaping communities, not just selling homes. If you enjoyed this episode of The Insider's Guide to Custom Homes, make sure you follow and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can find more episodes, download show notes and transcripts at The Insider's Guide to CustomHomes.com or TIGTCH.com. Thanks again for listening, and remember, build your custom home the Landmark way. Relax and enjoy the journey.